So many things to share with you today, and I don't know where to start. So I'm just going to share with you a little bit of my childhood. When my grandparents passed away, now they were very plain, extremely old order Mennonite. And in the church, the women sat on the one side and the men sat on the other side. And I remember when the men would walk in, they would always have their brim hats, and they would take their hats off and they would put it on a nail hook at the side, and they would file into place. My grandpa and my grandma, they had coffins made of pine, and they all wear white. Now, they didn't wear white when they were living, but they wore all white when they died, and they were in this pine box, and it was outside and it was really cold, and we would go and file around and look at them. It was a very solemn, very reverent, but very highly respected. And there's so many things that are coming into my mind. Since leaving social media, I shared with you physically how it's helped me, but I didn't share with you mentally and emotionally what it's doing to me and the changes that I am feeling. Whether I'm becoming more self-assured or self-realization, there are a lot of things that are changing deep within me. Why am I sharing this intimate talk with you all? Because I think it's important to share things that we are thinking about, and especially since my life is so much on the public, I wanted to share with you some changes that I'm making deep inside. The older I get, the more memories are coming back, flashbacks of a plain life, and how my mother's family was very plain, and how they did things, and how they orchestrated their lives, and how things were for them. And these memories are cherished memories for me, and I'm starting to go back to these memories. I'm remembering my dad's parents, who were very plain as well, and the happy times we had there, and just the way they conducted themselves and the way their life they lived. I'm really thinking about things, and I'm wondering to myself, I've always said to people, they've asked me, well, are you Mennonite? And I'd say, well, no, I'm not Mennonite. My traditions are Mennonite, and I have some of those roots and background. But I said to my husband today, you know what? In all aspects of my life, pretty much, I'm Mennonite. What does it mean to be Mennonite? Well, it means to be separate from the world. While I wear the makeup, and I do wear pants, a lot of times I'll wear skirts. And I wear the bandanas, and I tell people all the time, well, the bandanas aren't for religious reasons, and it's not. But the older I'm getting, the more I'm going back to my roots. And I've started to wear my bandanas in public. You would see in videos, you know, when I went away, I don't have my bandanas on. But there's something changing in me, and I'm welcoming that change because it's where I've always found peace. I know in doing all of these things, that doesn't make me a better Christian, or that doesn't make me special, but it's something that I'm feeling that I need to do, and that is live maybe a little bit more set apart than what I was living. We all have to come to terms with our life. We all have to come to terms with things that we dealt with, and we all have to come to terms with where we want our life to be. Where do we want to go from here? Oh, I'm not willing to give up the pink lipstick. To be a Mennonite doesn't mean that you don't wear any makeup. On my dad's side of the family, they're Mennonite. They have the doilies, they have the bandanas, they wear the skirts, but the women, they wear little bits of makeup. Then on my mom's side, they wear the cape dresses. There is no makeup whatsoever. So to just stereotype and say, well, one Mennonite does this and one does that, that's just a falsehood. And I know a Mennonite couple, the woman wears pants, and she actually wears a bonnet. Why am I thinking these things? Because for some reason, when the social media left my life, I was quiet and I was still, and I was really contemplating things. I have a theory, and it's only my theory, and I'm just going to share with you my thought. My mom was plain, and she left the plain church, and for a long period of time she was very confused. And I often think, and these are my thoughts only, that if my mother would have stayed in the loving Mennonite community, I think my mother's life would have been different. I think my mother would not have had depression like she did, and I think my mother wouldn't have anxiety like she did. I think when she gave up all of her roots as far as living a certain way, I think a lot of that affected her, maybe in ways she didn't know. These are my thoughts. And we all have a common core in us, and that is, what do we believe in? And for me, going back to my Mennonite roots is where I'm finding myself looking and going. Why did it take getting rid of most of my social media to do that? Well, because my spirit is quiet. I get on the computer, upload my videos, I check the comments, and I'm done. I answer emails once a week, and that's it. And I realize now, all that time that I was spent, you know, worrying about this and trying to do that, I realize now that all that time now is focused on me and what do I feel? What do I want to teach my grandchildren? Mother taught me many things. Father taught me many things as well, but mother taught me a lot of things about being a homemaker, being a woman, being a wife, being a mother. My mother taught me a lot of things. My mother was very strict, yes. And I am not strict, but yet my mother taught me about the hanging the clothes on the line and how to do it properly. And even though at times on my videos I don't show that, because I'm always very shishlik, and I always will be, because I'm Tessie. That's me. You know, I can go in and I can do a lot of demolition work, and I'm very strong, but when it comes to intricate things like sewing, I'm not good at that. But my mother taught me about being a Mennonite homemaker, about your husband coming first in your life, and your family coming first in your life, and how to be frugal. I mean, that is the stigma of a Mennonite woman, is to be very frugal, and most of them are. Of course, you have some modern ones that aren't quite, but I'm talking about the old order Mennonites, the women that were plain and have plain homes and plain lives, and they're extraordinary. I think since I turned 51, a lot of memories are coming back to me. Memories of my childhood, and memories of my grandmas walking around barefoot with their long cape dresses on, and being in the garden. And I think that the older I get, the more I realize I'm so much like them, other than maybe the dressing and of course the little bit of makeup that I wear. I want to be Mennonite. Yep. I would tell people all the time, you know, that you need to be who you are. And yet there was parts of me that were embarrassed, because saying to somebody, well, you want to be Mennonite, that can be embarrassing, because some people would say, well, what's wrong with you? Why would you want to live a plain life? And my whole life has been plain. It's been very plain. Being married at a young age, and taking care of children, and taking care of my husband, and leaving school at a young age, that's a fairly common Mennonite thing. Of course, there are Mennonite women that work away. There are. And there are Mennonite women that have college degrees, I'm assuming, but not in my community. I don't know much of that. And so every community is different. You go to every state and the communities are very different. I'm not against education. I think education is great, and working away is great if that's what your soul is wanting. You know, my siblings, the girls, wanted to work away. They would never want to be a Mennonite. That would be the furthest thing from their mind. But for me, my heart's calling. My heart has been knocking on my door for a long time, and my heart's been calling me to go back to the plainness of it all. I don't know what that's going to evolve to. I don't know, but I'm really excited for this part of my life. And being 51, I think it's time for me to do what I feel in my heart to do. And for me to find peace means to go back to the teachings of Menno Simons. And while, of course, we don't always agree with everything that a preacher or teacher shares, I do agree with most of his and a lot of his teachings. And I do believe in the plainness of it all. I believe in the simplicity of it all. And it's something that I've always known in my heart. But sometimes the world comes at you and tells you what you should be and what you shouldn't be. And I think after the loss of my parents, you know, people would see my videos and they tell me, well, I should be this and I should be that. And I tried to conform to them. Well, they'll like me if I do this, or they'll like me if I do that. Some subscribers have left me, and I thought, well, if I do this, maybe they'll come back and like me, or maybe if they do that, they'll like me. And I wasn't becoming me. And I was becoming what people perceived me to be. And I'm me. I can't be somebody different. I can't be like some big channels and they, you know, do certain things and they stop talking about things. You know, I know, you know, people say, well, your heart-to-hearts, that's what's ruining you, Tessie. Your heart-to-hearts, stop doing your heart-to-hearts and you'll start getting subscribers again. But then that wouldn't be me. And then I would conform to what people want me to be, and then soon I would lose myself. I would lose myself in the process. I almost did. I almost lost myself because I thought if I could get more people to like me, they'd watch my videos, and then things could be easier for me financially. And that's nothing wrong in that. There's nothing wrong in wanting an easier life. There's nothing wrong with all of that. But if you lose yourself in it, no matter what you do, if you lose yourself in it, then you're not who you are. And so I encourage you out there, are you who you want to be? Are you who you think people want you to be? And for me, my conviction is this. I can't tell you what your conviction is. I can't tell you what you should be or you shouldn't be. I've never been in your shoes. I've never faced the things that you faced. But for me, this is how I was raised. I was raised with this fundamental truth, and that is the Anabaptist way of thinking. And I can't leave it. If I could say the one thing that I think that the stereotypical Mennonites do is that I wouldn't agree with is they seem to put God in a box, so to speak. You know, I believe in this Holy Spirit. I believe in the gifts of the Holy Spirit. I believe in healing. I believe in all of those things. And the Reformed Mennonites believe in that as well. And I'm talking really intimate here, I'm telling you what I believe. And I believe that we can take what we were taught and raised, and we can read the Bible and find out for ourselves, you know. But I think the problem is sometimes we just totally disregard our roots and where we came from. And I think that if we embrace our roots, some of it, and keep it, our core being stays intact. And I think that no matter what race you are, you know, what religion you are, your roots, go back and find out, where did you come from? Who were you as people? What were your traditions? What were your beliefs? And I think it's important to look at those and make up for your own mind. But for me, I'm just saying for me, because I can't say for any of you, I'm just at peace. I'm at peace because all of these memories are just flooding back, and I know they're there for a reason. And that reason is, this season of my life is to go back to where I came from. And I think that farm life and homemaking life is very much a part of my background as a woman. And I'm really excited for all of that, and not worry about so much what other people think, you know? If I wear my bandana out in public. You know, I was afraid, like, what would they say? Oh, she's weird. Or I find the great comfort in wearing it. I do. And I was embarrassed to tell people. I like wearing it. I like how I look in it. I like the feeling of it. I like to know the feminine of it. I love being feminine. And I believe in the traditional feminine roles. And that is just being a wife and mother and homemaker. And, you know, there are many women who work away, and I give them so much respect for working away, because there's a lot of women who have to work away. There's a lot of women who choose to work away. That is their calling, and that is what their life is. But for me, and my way of living was to be stay-at-home mom and be a homemaker. And that's my roots. And I want to teach homemaking to my grandchildren. My daughters never worked away. I never worked away. I don't ever remember my mother working away. My grandmas never worked away. My in-laws never worked away. That's just how I was raised. And for me, that's where I find the greatest comfort. Now I'm on YouTube, and so I am earning an income. And while it's a small income, it is income that really helps and blesses my family. And I think that in this way, I think it's such a blessing, because I'm able just to share with you my life. And that's all what my videos are about. It's just sharing with you my life and helping people along the way. Helping people along the way. Because the number one thing I felt when I was a young married woman was I felt so alone. Because I got married at age 17, I didn't have any high school friends. They were out doing their thing while I was at home with children. And I felt so very much alone, because I didn't have any people my age that lived like me, because I wasn't around that. And so I love to share on the internet now, because I don't want anybody else to ever feel alone. And I think if my mom and dad would have kept those strong bonds with their family, I think that in turn I would have had more people in my sibling age group that I could be close with. The Mennonites are very close, but when my parents left the church, they did not have that fellowship anymore. While my mother's, you know, siblings would say hi and stuff like that, there just wasn't that closeness. I mean, I remember my mom actually being shunned, and I know that hurt my mom deeply. And I just think that, I don't know, I'm rambling now. And so I'm gonna end the video, because I just think that that closeness, that closeness of fellowship, and I have that closeness with people on YouTube. You know, my YouTube isn't just my camera and talking to all of you. I get countless emails, letters, a lot of correspondence, and I'm really thankful for all of that, because it keeps me grounded and keeps me motivated, and you all keep me in your prayers, and I felt that. And since not having social media, that is such a big difference. We live in a world where they say God doesn't speak anymore. We live in a world where they say there's no miracles, God doesn't speak, you know, God's not here. But the problem is, so many times we are so loud and busy with radios and TV and internet. Our lives are constantly in chaos. And mine was. I would be the first to admit to you, mine was. My life was in chaos. Who's commenting now? Who's watching now? What are they saying? What are they doing? You know, got to keep my tabs on everything. And God, I couldn't hear him speak to me. I couldn't hear him. I couldn't hear him speak to me. And then I got anxiety because it was so much. And when I got rid of all that social media, when I got rid of all that and didn't care so much about what's going on that I can't see, I'm the kind of person who wants to fix everything. If there's a problem with somebody, I want to fix it. If there's a problem with me, somebody has a problem with me, I want to fix it. And I will go to the ends of the earth to try to fix it. I will spend countless hours, countless nights, and trying to contact the people and say I'm sorry and trying to make up for everything, even though when I didn't know I did anything wrong. That's how I am. I'm a people pleaser. But sometimes you can't fix things. Sometimes you can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. You can't help them. Sometimes you can't help people who have bitterness problems and personality issues and things in their life. You can't fix them. And when I got rid of all of that, the urge to perform, to have to do all of this, God started speaking because I could hear it. And God started saying, nudging me at this and nudging me at that. And oh man, if I could only help you see how much difference it can be when we lay it all down, when we just lay down the burdens of our hearts, because we know the Father listens. Lay down the burdens of your heart. You know your Father listens. Oh, show your Father where it hurts. Oh, So that's where I'm at. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about bringing more traditions of my heritage, more traditions of my ancestors. I'm thinking more about just living in the world but not of it. And while I'm in the world so much with my YouTube, I'm not really of it. When it comes down to it, I'm not really of it. I'm not of the fashions and of what's the latest thing and what's trending, and I don't really want to be part of it. So thank you so much for just listening, having somebody that listens to me. I'm sure a lot of you don't understand what I'm talking about. Some of you, it hit really close to home. I know with my heart to hearts, it's so interesting because every time I do a heart to heart for 5 years now, I start thinking, oh boy, I wonder what people are going to think when what I have to say, and I wonder if people are understanding if I'm conveying myself right. And every time, without fail, there are some people who don't like it, tell me to never do one again. But then there's people who they say I said just the thing they needed to hear. And so maybe you're thinking about your roots and thinking about maybe some things of your past, that traditions, and thinking maybe about not having social media and just saying goodbye to a lot of that. And I would strongly encourage you to do so. You won't ever regret it. You know, when we lay on our deathbed, we're not going to say, oh, I wish I had more Instagram. We're not going to say, oh, I wish I had more subscribers. Oh, I wish I had more money. Or I wish I had more of this. But we might say, I wish I had a little more time. We might say that. Just wish I had a little more time. And I'm deciding to take my time, as much time as I can. I want to squeeze in my 24 hours. I want to make my 24 hours count each day. And that is saying goodbye, focusing inward, focusing on my life, and saying hello to all of you who are a big part of my life. And if you believe like me, you believe in eternity, I'm going to see a lot of you there. We may even have a Homestead Tessie little group. Maybe we'll have our own little old-fashioned houses all together. What a beautiful heaven must be. Oh, beautiful heaven must be a land of the happy and free. Beautiful heaven must be. How beautiful heaven must be. Happy and free. How beautiful heaven must be. How beautiful heaven must be to the land of the happy and free. Ooh, how beautiful heaven must be.